Oh, no, that definitely works. So, where are you from and what's your name?
My name is Chris Zipeto. I'm from Rochester, New York, right on Lake Ontario. Upstate New York, that is not New York City like everyone thinks when I say I'm from New York.
All right, so first thing I want to ask you is what's the music scene in Rochester like?
Music scene in Rochester is actually pretty good. We're about midpoint between Buffalo and Syracuse, and most people know about Buffalo because of the Major League sports teams there. But as far as music goes, Rochester's good. We've got a couple of really big music schools. We've got the Eastman School of Music and Hochstein School of Music. We have an international jazz fest that happens every year that gets huge names that come by.
And it's also the
like Etta
birthplace.
James, Victor Rubin, Stanley Clark. I myself have actually been active in the heavy metal scene in Rochester, which is also surprisingly good. We got a lot of bands that have a lot of talent around here, and we've actually produced at least one or two big names in the metal scene. Psyopus is starting to make a pretty decent name for itself within the techcore scene, and then two of the members from Mastodon are actually from my city.
Nice. Okay, and so what are some of the local music halls, clubs, and bars named?
Well, there's the Montage Music Hall. That's where most of the metal is these days. It used to be the Penny Arcade that had a lot of the good metal shows, but that's closed down. There's the Water Street Music Hall. There are shows at the Eastman Theater. Let's see. There's also Double Land Underground. You tend to get a bit more hip hop and dubstep there. A little further away, there's Darien Lake out towards Buffalo. You tend to get the big shows there. There's CMAC, which is a little more towards Syracuse.
Okay, what are some of the more popular local bands?
Well. I'm sorry?
What are some of the more popular local bands?
Local bands, Uncle Plum, Sky Coasters, those are a bit more mainstream. As far as, I know a little bit more about the metal scene.
Yeah.
I'm bigger, have been active in it. Some of the more popular local metal acts would be Exit Existence, which is kind of a power thrash metal band. Malformed and Neotheus, which are death metal bands. Neotheus standing out a little, given that their keyboardist also will play an accordion during a couple of their songs.
Okay.
Which is always kind of entertaining.
What's the last band that you saw? Like, what's the last band that you saw live?
Last band that I saw live was actually the shirt I'm wearing. That was the Devin Townsend Project era, and it was bloody well awesome. I saw Necrophagist a couple of years ago, and I found out about Obscura, and it was described to me as basically Necrophagist, only more progressive. And I'm like, I can get behind that. And Devin Townsend is possibly one of my favorite things to come out of Canada since Rush. That man is a freaking genius. Like, I'll listen to pretty much anything that man ever puts out. Him and Strapping and Lad, Punky Brewster, his work he did with Steve Vai. The Devin Townsend Project is just freaking amazing. We played a 2-hour set, and I was not bored once the entire time.
Okay, what do you like or dislike about your local music scene?
Well, actually a pretty decent range of shows for people to go to. There's something for just about everyone. If you live in Rochester and you complain that there is not some sort of show for you, you're doing it wrong. Trans-Siberian Orchestra comes here every year, and that's an amazing show. We've got we have dubstep, we have hip-hop, we have classic rock, we have classical. We've got just about everything under the sun, plus a couple interesting things.
Okay.
So, honestly, I like variety. As far as not liking, the audiences in some cases. I'm a very staunch supporter of underground bands, but there's a lot of people who won't come out to just local shows, which is like, well, how do you want big bands to happen? You go to the underground shows and have them build up, build up, build up until they can get to the national level, and it's just like, silly people, you don't understand how this works.
Okay. Now, are you involved in your local music scene other than watching shows?
Yes, actually, I haven't. Recently, I was actually in a melodic black metal band called Demoness. We are currently no longer around, as musicians are very capricious people. And here's the ego for my lead guitarist. Here's the ego for my rhythm guitarist. Butting heads. And Singer's a diva. But we were involved in the scene. We played out several times. We got to play at the Finger Lakes Metal Fest. And then, aside from just going to shows, I tend to whore out local bands to people I know as much as possible, just because I like to see local bands.
And how often do you go out to see them play?
I go out decently regularly, because we have a lot of good shows that come, so I go out to see them. And, well, because I'm having been active in the scene, I know a lot of the people, well, means that it's just another excuse for me to hang out with people and chat. But
okay.
Yeah, that.
And then,
yeah.
Are the venues there? Are they large venues or are they mainly smaller venues?
There's some larger and some smaller. Places like the Bug Jump or are smaller, but once you get up to like Eastman Theater, that's a pretty decent sized venue there. And then there's shows at the War Memorial there, Blue Cross Arena. I've seen Trans-Siberian Orchestra there 3 times. I've seen Blue Metal Group there. They get some decently big shows. I mean, Elton John was playing there a couple months ago.
Okay,
so,
and then
Rochester's got a.
What's the atmosphere of the venues like when you play there? When you play local shows, what's...
When we played there, it's been mainly this. It's been smaller clubs, which honestly I prefer. I love the intimate atmosphere, because the performers are going to be maybe 2-3 feet from the audience, depending on how close to the edge of the stage you are, and it's just far more intimate. You get a much closer connection between the audience and the performers, and the energy is just so much more vital. It's just so much more there.
All right, perfect. Now I've got 2 more questions for you. Now, is there a dominant genre in the local music scene, like apart from metal, which you know, is there something that's more popular in Rochester?
Well, there's pretty decent hip-hop and rap scene going on. Classical is huge here, because, I mean, we've got the pop science school and Eastman School. The Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra is well known within the classical music scene as being very good. We've also produced Renee Fleming, who is very, very big in the opera world right now. So classical and opera are huge here, as is jazz and just various kinds of rock music.
All right, and the last question I'm going to ask you is, right now, what is your favorite band?
Right now? Goddamn. I have probably, I'd have to say, since I cannot stop listening to their latest album since I came out, Fintroll has got to be up there. I can't say enough good things about Niffledin. Probably Fintroll and Deferrum, who I had the good fortune to see on the Finnish metal tour a couple of months ago.
All right.
I loves me my folk metal.
Awesome. Well, thanks for helping out, Chris.
You're welcome.